Hello, it is so great to meet you. My name is Kristen Slough, and I have been with Synogens and have been self-employed for about 7 years now. My background, professionally is pretty interesting. I had some sales in my background, apartment management, operations. My most recent position before coming self-employed was a vice president at Bank of America. I am married. I have a daughter. She's 9. We're really active in our community. We're active in politics and civics. We're active with our family. We're active with our friends. So we're just kind of like always on the go. To go a little bit deeper, the reason that am here talking to you is because I've really traveled a strange path over the last 7 years as I was building my business. So to tell you a little bit about me, I had gotten married in 2004. The same year that I got married in May. My husband was activated with the National Guard and sent to Iraq for a year and a half. And then he came home, he worked a little while, but he had not yet finished school because his activation had disrupted that and he just wasn't sure what he wanted to do. So he went back to work for a private contracting company doing contracts for the Department of State, went back to Iraq working for the Department of State. And when that happened, about a year and a half into that, there was this major event. There was a team of 19 people that went out. They responded to a car bomb. There was a firefight. And this whole political storm happened because they got accused of doing something that they didn't because it was politically expedient for the government overseas to accuse them. So without getting too far into the details, we fought this battle legally. He came back to the United States and we fought for 6 years. And then it finally went to trial in Washington, D.C. Sorry about that. In 2000 and what was this, 14. And unfortunately, because our system really isn't designed for civilian juries in Washington, D.C. to adjudicate issues that happened in Iraq during combat, they were sent to prison. And so my husband was facing 30 years in prison, 30 years in a day to be exact. It was the most shocking thing I've ever experienced in my entire life because he and his co-defendants were all entirely innocent in the ordeal. And so I was at actually the lowest point of my life when I started my business. My husband was in prison. I was a single mother. I was living with my parents. I had a good full-time job that I liked, but I was so depressed I couldn't even think straight. So I kind of started my business on a whim as a hobby. And through that journey, several really important things happened. One, I learned a lot about what I can accomplish if I can control myself. And that is really important because I think we all the time very frequently feel very pulled and tossed and to and fro and all of these difficult emotions because the world around us is ever changing and because we don't have a control over things that seriously impact us. I did not have any control over getting him out of prison. I had influence and I won, by the way. But it was really incredibly difficult, but I had to learn how to be persistent. I had to learn how to get unstuck. I had to learn how to take myself from a depressed, broken mess to somebody who's leading multi-million-dollar sales teams and accomplishing a pardon and taking care of my daughter and being involved where I want to be involved and caring for my family and doing all of those things. So there was just a huge evolution that happened in my life. And I love to share about that with others because I came to so many conclusions through this really awful situation. And what I don't want for you is to have to go through something awful to learn. I would love to just be able to tell you about my experience and give you some of the things that worked for me without you having to go figure it out yourself. So this is my training lovingly entitled Unstuck Yourself, also called the Excellence Agenda. And I'll talk about that in a second. But this is where I go, when I am stuck, when I am depressed, when I don't want to get out of bed, when I feel in a rut. Maybe I just feel like I'm not progressing. I'm just not doing what I want to be doing. I'm not as far as I'd like to be. If I look at where I am between now and a year ago or a year from now, it's where do I want to be? And how do I make progress towards that? So That's what we're going to talk about today. So the contents of this presentation are very high level here. So we've got your 4 choices, accessing your ultimate goal, because knowing what you want is ridiculously important, making that goal attainable, getting unstuck, and then the actual tactical tools that you can use every single day. So I'm not just going to give you concepts and theories and things and be like, okay, I hope you figure it out. I'm going to give you tactical exercises and, even a little homework if you want to do it, because you're like, I really need to take a step forward here. All right. So let's talk about when you're in a situation that is unsustainable. And I like the word unsustainable. It's something that, like, okay, you can get along today, you're surviving, but is it sustainable long term? Is it what you really want? So when you're in a situation that is unsustainable for you, you don't want that situation to be your situation for the rest of your life, you really have 4 choices, right? A, you just leave the situation. End that shitty relationship. Sorry about the language. But there are things that you can do in some situations. In some situations, you can just leave them. But I couldn't leave my situation with my husband being in prison, because even if I had wanted to leave him and divorce him, which I did not, because he was not the problem, he is the father to my daughter, and my goal is my family. Period. Right? End of story. My goal is to care for my family in a way that cares for others as well. So the next thing you could do is change the situation. So I could not leave my situation. I wanted to try to change the situation, but I had to understand I couldn't control it, but I could influence it. And I had to find ways to influence the situation around me. Another choice is to accept the situation. I don't want to be like somebody who looks around and criticizes others, but out of the 4 families that were impacted by this, not a lot of the families took steps to make a change. They were very upset about it. They shook their fist at the sky, maybe wrote a few letters, maybe placed a few phone calls, but honestly, whether they truly in their heart accepted it, they accepted it to the extent that they weren't really taking action. And then the other chance that you have is to change you and how you respond to the situation, change how you view the situation, change how you react to it to influence it better. So those are your 4 choices, and they're going to change based on the situation that you're in. But anytime you're in a situation that's unsustainable to you, take a look at your 4 choices. Okay, what do I need to do here? Do I leave it? Do I try to change it and influence it? Do I just accept it because it's uncontrollable, unchangeable, I can't leave it and I can't influence it? Or do I need to just change myself? Do I need to adjust to the situation? And sometimes the problem is you. Sometimes the problem is me. All right? So because I am part of a network marketing business and I'm a business owner, I bet a lot of you are as well. Whether you are a SeneGence distributor or not, maybe you represent a different brand, a different line, maybe you have your own brand, maybe you have your own small business. I'm going to talk about a little bit of these concepts in an entrepreneurial setting here and there, but 90% of this is geared towards any aspect of your life. But I want to talk to you specifically about entrepreneurism just for one moment, because most of us, if you're a distributor for SeneGence, or if you're a distributor for another brand or company, or you own your own small business, you're doing that because you want to help people. So for me, I love my business because I love helping people feel more confident. I love helping people start a business that pays their bills. I love helping people find solutions to their concerns. Maybe acne, maybe aging, maybe just feeling confident in their skin. Maybe they just want to look more polished and professional, but they don't have a lot of time. I love solving those problems. But the beautiful thing about solving problems is when you solve people's problems effectively, you make money. That's good. That's not bad. It'd be like saying, any company in the world is greedy because they want to solve your problem by selling you something. And if you just wanted to help people, if you only wanted to help people, if that was your only goal, you could do that. You could just go be a volunteer, right? There's plenty of opportunities to serve people without that kind of direct reward. So I don't think it's greedy to want to earn money. And I certainly don't think it's greedy to want to earn a living by helping other people. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Wanting to earn money isn't greedy in and of itself. And what when you start a business, or if you currently have a business and you find yourself stuck sometimes, you've got to pause for a minute and say, hey, what immediate needs can I satisfy with this? What would be able to do those things mean to me? And is it more important than not doing it? So some people call this finding your why, but anytime you set out to change something, to make it more sustainable, to make it more, pleasant, to make it just better, you want to ask yourself, why do I want to do that? So a lot of people start their business because they need a little more disposable income. Maybe they just want to go out to eat more. One of my downline team members, a multi-million-dollar team leader, she started her business because she wanted to be able to eat out at lunch at work. I think that she was working at a hotel. I think she was either a desk clerk or a manager or something like that. And she really just wanted to go to like Chipotle for lunch instead of packing her lunch every day. So she started a business on the side to fund that, and now does that completely, left her business, does that full time, and supports her entire family with it. So I'm just saying, like, start with a small goal and ask yourself what that means to you. And maybe it really wasn't about going out to lunch every day. It was about having freedom, having the flexibility to do that. And when she accomplished some small goals, she started saying like, wow, I can accomplish bigger goals. And then you have to decide, okay, when you get stuck, is the goal that I was trying to accomplish more important to me than this activity that's going to take to get there? So just keeping that in the back of your mind. That was my entrepreneur's plug for those of y'all who have business. All right, so let's talk about goals. Because goals for me kind of start top end, and then I work my way down, or from the bottom and work my way up. So like in my last example, starting with a small goal is just fine. And then once you accomplish that, you can nudge the bar up. But what if you have a big goal? What if you're like, ooh, ultimately, I want to leave my full-time job. I want to work for myself. I want to be self-employed. Or, I want to continue working, but I also want an income on the side because I'm trying to achieve a down payment on a house. I'm trying to buy an Airbnb for an extra income stream. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. So for those folks, you're going to start out with a big goal, like, I want to buy a house. Well, crap, that's a really big goal. So now we've got to break it down and make it smaller. Okay, what is it going to take to buy a house? I'm going to need maybe a down payment. I'm going to need basic credit maybe. I'm going to need, for the house that I want, X amount of dollars per month. And you break down and figure out what is it that I'm going to need to accomplish that goal. And then you got to break it down smaller. All right, so I want a $200,000 house and I'd like to put 10% down. I need to earn $20,000. Cool. How long do I want to earn that $20,000 in? Am I going to give myself a year? Am I going to give myself 2 years? Am I going to give myself 5 years? If I'm going to give myself 2 years, that means $10,000 a year. $10,000 a year means what? About $850 a month? $850 a month. All right, cool. So $850 a month, that breaks into what? How much a week? A couple $100 a week. Do you think you can earn a couple $100 a week? Sure you can. If you don't know how, I can show you. Anybody in here can show you. Any distributor in Synergies can show you how to earn a couple $100 a week. But if you break down a big goal, I'd like to buy a house, into a smaller goal, okay, what's my timeline? How much money do I need? Does that look like on a weekly and monthly basis? And then go after it and make it bite-sized. Now we've got a system we can use. Sorry, I just nudged that. Now you've got to document it. So maybe you run your math right, but you got to write it down. And then you've got to track it and see it every day. All right, so I know I need to earn $200 this week, and that means I want to work Monday through Friday, so I need to earn $40 a day to make that happen. So I'm going to make a little bubble thing, and I'm going to tick it off during the day. Maybe I skipped Monday, now Tuesday I need to earn $80. No problem, no big deal. Track, adjust as necessary, but put it where you can see it. I'm going to earn a luxury trip to Punta Cana for myself and my husband at a 5-star all-inclusive. My contest period started in October. It ends in September. So I am tracking those goals with what's called a bubble sheet, and I'll show it to you here in a moment. But whatever your goal is, you can break it down into bite-sized chunks, and then you just mark off the chunks as you go and put it where you're going to see it every day. I'm self-employed. I don't come in my office every day. It's not where I am the most. But I have a beauty business, right? So I do my makeup, very often. I do my skincare every day. And whether you do skincare and makeup every day or not, you probably go to your bathroom every day. So I put my goals in my bathroom. So the first thing I see in the morning when I'm getting ready and I'm getting my mind prepared for the day. All right. Moving right along here. So the next thing I want to encourage you to do is to protect your mentality when you're goal setting. So, I don't want you to set I do want you to set some safe goals, things that you know that you're going to achieve, so that way you can mark them up because that's good for your mental health, right? But I want you to set big goals. But what I don't want you to do is, if you don't hit that big goal, that you take this negative mindset that like, well, I'm never going to make that. I'm not going to try that again. And, oh, I'm a failure, or any of that kind of stuff. So as you're going into goal setting, have it in your mind that I'm going to give myself some grace. I don't know what is to come. I don't know if somebody in my family is going to come up with cancer this year and I'm going to need to stop and take care of them. Know going into it that you may need to make adjustments. And as such, to hold yourself accountable to your goals, ask yourself, is this a reason or is this an excuse? I had a lot of reasons why maybe working towards a presidential pardon and being a single mom and having a full-time job and living with my parents maybe wasn't the best time to start and build a business. But it was the best time to start and build a business because I needed it. And I had goals that I had to accomplish, and I needed more money, and I needed more freedom to accomplish those goals. So those reasons were no longer reasons. They were excuses. So just ask yourself, little tough love here, that reason that's keeping you from starting that business, from pursuing it fully, from dedicating yourself to it, are they actually reasons or are they excuses? I'm not saying, I'm just saying. All right, next, you're going to express your goals out loud. So I told my husband, I want to earn this trip. I told him what I needed to do to achieve it. I put the sign in the bathroom where he can see it. I tell him when I fill in a bubble on that and let him know. And then he also asks me about it. How's it coming? I haven't seen a bubble filled in. Have you not been working on that, or have you just not been filling in your bubbles? So bring in allies, bring in people that will hold you accountable. Express your goals out loud, because I initially, when I decided I wanted to hit that trip, because I don't hit that trip every year, when I decided I really wanted to run after it this year, I kind of like, my initial instinct was to keep it to myself, and that I would surprise him when I hit it. But then my problem with that was, if I don't tell him, if I start slacking off partway through the year, he doesn't know that I was running for it, and now I'm off the hook. And I can't let myself off the hook. I'm pretty indulgent with myself naturally, so I need to bring in allies. I express my goals out loud. I make a commitment out loud, and then I run towards them, because I don't want to give myself escape routes. Escape routes and exit strategies are two different things. Exit strategies are good when you're going into most situations. You need to understand your way out, but not an escape hatch for if you simply don't feel like doing it later, because not feeling like it is not getting you anywhere towards your goals. All right, so tactical tools here. I promised you some really good tactical tools here, and I'm going to share them with you. So whether you run a business or not, you need a daily method of operation. This is what I'm going to do every day. I'm going to stretch. I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat a high protein snack. I'm going to do my daily gratitude. I'm going to read for 15 minutes in the morning. I'm going to spend 30 minutes on my personal finances. That's something I had to add. I'm not a good administrator of household finances. So I had to add in my daily operation that I was going to sit down and pay attention to my personal finances for 30 minutes a day. And I'll give you some examples of this in a second. And then bubble sheets. Like I was telling you a few minutes ago, like just doing the bubble sheets and keeping track of what it is that you want. You want to reward your activity. Reward your activity and then celebrate the results. Don't wait to reward yourself until you get results, or else you might fall out of love with the activity that's going to be required to get you there. All right, so I would recommend creating a daily method of operation. So again, if you are an entrepreneur, I'm going to encourage you to do income producing activities first. If you are an entrepreneur and you need to go out and make sales, and so you can earn income, that is typically the most uncomfortable part of your business, because it's also the part of your business that can come with rejection. So when we make an offer to somebody, like if I were to contact you and offer you the ability to get into this party, you're here because you wanted to be, because you said yes. But the other people that your distributor reached out to some of them may have said no. And so it's really kind of uncomfortable sometimes to do the things that we're required to do to move our business forward, because they can come with rejection. So I actually recommend doing those first. There is a great book called Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy, and he goes through this methodology of doing the hardest thing on your to-do list first, because then it's just a coast from then on to the rest of your day. If you leave that thing you don't want to do on your to-do list and you do all the easy things, when does that thing you don't want to do come? At the end of your day, when you're already stressed, when your heart rate's elevated, when it's time to go pick up the kids from school, when it's time to start thinking about dinner, when it's time to start thinking about soccer, when it's time to start thinking about getting your kids ready for bed and bath, and it's like, oh my holy hell. Do it first. Do it, that thing you don't want to do first, so that your way doesn't escalate towards this horrible thing that happens in my household about 5 p.m. Instead of having the worst thing happen, not the worst, but the hardest thing at the beginning of the day, and then coasting towards 5 p.m., not stressed, knowing you got done what needed to be done, and not having that guilty monkey on your back, like you really should have reached out, you really should have done income producing activity, you really should have offered these products and this opportunity that is a gift to people, but you didn't, because you didn't want to, and all you did was send out packages today, right? So don't do that. So set your daily method of operation, whether that is business related, whether it is goals towards your health, your personal finances, your spiritual growth, your family. Make a list, mark them off as you go. So what do you do when you get just completely stuck and you're like, I don't know where to go from here? I'm going to tell you. All right. So this is what I call the excellence agenda. And an excellence agenda is simple, simple, simple. You do not have to drastically revamp your whole life. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. All I want you to do is sit there when you're completely stuck and you just don't know where to go from here, and what you're doing right now isn't hacking it. You're going to envision yourself when you're functioning your best. When you're functioning your best, when you are like banging on all cylinders and you have a great day, what does that look like? From the time you wake up, what did you do first? Did you stretch before you got out of bed? Did you have your cup of coffee? Did you read that chapter and eat the frog? Did you write down your 3 gratitudes? Did you meditate for a moment? Did you check your calendar and prepare for your day? What does all of that look like? What does a banging day look like for you? And then you're going to write it down with times. And then you're going to execute that agenda whether you feel like it or not, because your feelings are liars. And if you wait to feel like doing something, you're never going to want to do it. Or you're only going to want to do it inconsistently when you got a great night's sleep, when the day before went as planned. And you can't count on that. You have to make a decision about the things that you're going to accomplish each day and then choose to accomplish them. Now, what do you do if I honestly don't even know what that looks like? And I've never had a day that I felt like I was banging on all cylinders? No problem. Envision somebody else's agenda. So think of somebody else that you admire. Think of somebody who has accomplished some of the goals that you want to accomplish. Sit down and ask them, what does your day look like? When you were building your business, what did you do? What does your day look like? And then have them, write that down and follow their day. If you don't know them well enough to reach out, maybe they're a celebrity. Envision what you think their day looks like. Do you think that incredibly successful, Tony Robbins sleeps in till 10 a.m., pads around the house, drinking coffee, doesn't know what he's supposed to accomplish that day, and just trying to wings it? Probably not. I'm guessing he gets up. I'm guessing he does gratitude. I'm guessing he does something for his body to move it. I'm guessing that he reads and does some kind of personal development. So go through somebody that you admire and envision what their day looks like, and then you execute their agenda and then see how it goes. You're not making a commitment to do this every day for the rest of your life. You're making a commitment to trying it out. Now, why do you do this? Why wouldn't you just I don't really feel like it? Feeling behind causes stress. It causes so much stress. If you feel like there are things that you should be doing and accomplishing, but you're not because of all of these different reasons and excuses and all the different things that are going on in your life, you are probably feeling pretty stressed out. Well, you know what happens when you're stressed out? your body creates cortisol, and cortisol creates your fight or flight mode. It also exhausts you and makes you feel like crap. So you've got to get out of fight or flight. You got to get out of feeling behind all the time. You've got to get out of that negative spiral that happens when we feel like we're not accomplishing what we need to accomplish. Checking things off of a list creates dopamine. This is why I'm telling you, write it down, put it in your phone, put it in your iPhone notes, put it in your, an app. They have habit tracker apps. Put it somewhere where you are going to mark it off, because every time you click that bubble in your iPhone notes, you get a little dump of dopamine, like, I accomplished something. Ooh, I got this. Checking things off of your list, whether you felt like doing them or not, creates warm and fuzzy positive vibes. We get hormones out of that create positive feelings inside of you. And whether you went into that list feeling like you wanted to tackle it or not, you'll notice that as you click the bubbles and check the boxes and do the things, that feeling of reward gets you motivated to do more things. You're like, man, I'm on a roll. I'm doing the things. And when you do the worst, hardest, most difficult thing first, that means that all those other little bubbles behind it get easier and easier as you go, and you're more and more motivated to do them. This is a chemical process in your brain. It's not something you can just manufacture without just doing it. Self-discipline is not a character trait. It is a skill. It is a learned skill. So if you're like, I'm just not that disciplined, that's not my personality, I'm not this, I'm not that, stop that. You are anything you want to be. These are all skills that you can learn simply by making a choice and exercising them. All right, next, my daily agenda. So this could be anything. This is largely what mine is. I sit up in the bed and I stretch. I have a habit tracker app. I click little bubbles every day. I give myself credit for my morning stretch. I give myself credit for drinking my coffee. I give myself credit for reading one chapter in whatever book I'm reading. Right now it's Eat That Frog, which is why I put it in the thing. I declutter my house. I check the box after that. I do my 30 minutes of finances. I check the box and do that. I review my upcoming day. I check my calendar. Boom, done. And then what I do is I start on my income producing activities, and I look on the things that are like, all right, this is what I need to accomplish today. Hardest thing first. You've got to pick your own agenda. It could be mine, but it could be you. At the end of the day, I highly encourage you to recap your day. Just sit there for a second, grab your phone and think, okay, what did I accomplish today? What needs to be moved to tomorrow? What does tomorrow look like? What's my schedule? Set your alarm and know what your day is going to look like before you go to bed so that you can sleep. If you rely on your brain to remember things, then your brain is trying to remember, and it creates static. It creates noise. When you get those things out of your brain and written down somewhere that's easily accessible that you're not going to forget, you will sleep better. And when you sleep better, you perform better. All right. Don't fake it till you make it. That's not what any of this is about. It's about facing it till you make it. We're not saying throwing on a big, happy, cheerful face and pretend you're happy when you're not. I'm saying write down what you want to get done and go do it whether you feel like it or not. It's a different thing altogether. And I'm sorry, I'm a little tough love, so I hope that I don't step on anybody's toes in the way that I present things. But I really hope that you take away from something that I'm not asking anybody to be fake. Nobody wants you to be fake. We want you to be somebody that you enjoy being. And sometimes that takes activity before we feel it. And then the feelings follow the activity. Whoops. All right. So, replacing unproductive thoughts. We're going to talk a lot about this tomorrow night. We're going to do train your brain. Train your brain is my favorite thing. It's all about controlling how you think and feel about things so that you're not tossed to and fro in the circumstances of the world, of which I've been a victim of many. So mentally, I just want you to start practicing this. I'm not good at this. No. It's not that you're not good at this. It's that you still need more practice. I'm lazy. No, you are not lazy. You need to understand what motivates you better, create an agenda, and tackle it. I'll never be as good as. No. If you're looking at other people for anything other than inspiration, if looking at other people's success is bringing you down, stop, or replace it. If I do what that person does consistently, I will get what they have eventually. Right? It's not about what they have today. Y'all are at two different points in your journey. I'm too busy. That is not a priority for me. Y'all, when I stopped saying, well, I'm just too busy for that, and I started saying, that's not a priority to me, I will tell you, my life changed. When I stopped saying to myself and others, I'm too busy, and started saying, that's not a priority, whoa. Hello. That made the biggest difference. So next time you start to tell yourself or anybody else, I'm too busy, stop. And you don't have to say it out loud, but in your head say, am I really too busy? Or is this just not a priority to me? And then make your choices accordingly. If it's not a priority to you, say no. Okay, this is embarrassing. This one is for all my entrepreneurs because like we said, right? If you are here with us today, somebody invited you. Well, they probably didn't only invite you. They probably invited multiple people. And some of those people probably said no. And being told no is uncomfortable. It just is. So when you are thinking to yourself, I don't want to do that because it's potentially embarrassing, you've also got to say, you know what? I've got to get uncomfortable to grow. And if honestly, like if running a business and pushing your life forward and being massively successful was easy and comfortable, everybody would be rich and successful. It is not easy and it is not comfortable. So if you are willing to do things that are not easy and you are welcome to do things that are uncomfortable, you can be rich and successful. That's just what I'm saying. I'm throwing it out there. That will never happen for me. Or like, I'm not special enough. Those things happen to other people. Those things don't happen to me. The truth is you control your output with your input. So do they. So that person that you're looking at, I could never be like her because of X, Y, or Z. That person, that man or that woman is controlling their output by what they put in. And so are you. What are you putting in? Are you getting out the same thing? All right. Well, then you're probably not putting in the same thing. Okay. And then mental obstacles, life is happening to me. Life is happening for you. Life is happening around you. What you control is your attitudes and your actions, period. Everything else is just something you could potentially have influence over. So, because I want to wrap this up, I was trying to be done in 30 minutes. Next steps. Do you need to get unstuck? I have a fear experiment for you. So I call them fear experiments because they're like lightly uncomfortable and maybe not something that we necessarily want to do, but like maybe you know that you need to do it. So here's your fear experiment. I want you to set your excellence agenda. Like for real. For real. Sit down and write down what a successful day looks like with times. Set your daily method of operation. What are the boxes that I am going to check every day? What are the things that I'm going to do in my morning that is going to set me up for a great day before I even start on my work or my tasks or my to-do list? And then what is my daily method of operation? What am I doing first in part of my day? Is it an income producing activity? Is it something that's moving me towards my goals? Or is it a byproduct of producing activities? Is it like, filling orders or doing whatever? You got to do the first things first. And then next, set your goals. Set activity-based goals. Take that thing and break it down. I know to make $10,000 this year. I know that's $850 a month. I know that's $215 a week or $210 or whatever it is. And I know that that's X amount of dollars per day. What do I need to do? What activity do I have to take to get that? Do I need to create X amount of social media content? Do I need to reach out to X amount of people? Do I need to network in certain areas? Do I need to take out, whatever that looks like? Set your goals that are activity based. And then here is a trick. Set a short-term test. I have commitment issues. If you told me today that I had to set an excellence agenda, that I was going to map out every minute of my day, and that when I started that was going to be my agenda every day for the rest of my life, I would never even start. Because hell no. I am not the queen of commitment. I like flexibility. I like adjusting. I like reprioritizing. I like being able to do things differently. So your fear experiment, your homework here is only to create an agenda and only to test it for 5 days without fail, without excuses, without I don't feel like it, without I forgot. Do a 5-day test. That's it. The only commitment you're making is for 5 days, and then take a look at it. Okay, it's been 5 days. How do I feel? How are my results? Has there been progress? What would things look like in 1 year if I repeated this week every week? It's a good question, right? You may actually find that you need to make adjustments. You might find that your test, you were like, you know what? I don't really think that decluttering in the morning really helped me. I think that I prefer to declutter in the evening. Maybe I prefer not to do that at all. I don't care about my workspace being untidy. Not me. My workspace has to be tidy. I have, some symptoms of ADD. And when my workspace is not organized, my brain struggles to stay on task. So for me, decluttering, but maybe that's not for you. Maybe stretching, it doesn't really, there's no squeeze there for you. I don't know. But only set a 5-day test and then ask yourself thoughtful questions at the end. How do I feel? What are my results? Has there been progress? And what would next year look like if I did this every week? And then adjust accordingly. Okay, so now, as you're executing your excellence agenda, a few more questions just to be thinking to yourself. Am I doing what I set out to do? Do I need to make adjustments? Am I giving myself too many outs? Am I, letting things go? Are these reasons or excuses? Did the tire blow and that prevented me from doing something? Or I had a tummy ache or, whatever. Like, what is it? Am I committed to success? Or am I just experimenting with the idea of it? There is a very big difference between I'm going to try to be successful and I am going to be successful. I just don't know how long it's going to take me. Is it a maybe I'll be successful, or is it I am going to be successful? How long is the question? Do I secretly believe that success is reserved for other people who are special? It's a good question. Do I operate in excellence, or do I just do what's needed to get by? Some days I just do what's needed to get by. Sometimes it's a self-care day. Maybe sometimes that's excellence for you. It's just, taking care of yourself. But on an overall basis, when you look at it from the macro level, 30,000 feet, are you operating in excellence most of the time, or are you just doing what it takes to get by? Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that there was something useful in here. I hope you don't hate me because of my tough love approach. And if you caught something, I would love in the comments for you to tell me what your favorite little zinger was, because there will be plenty of people who just don't have time to watch a 30-minute training video. So if we can all go and put little tips and tricks that we picked up from it into the comments that people can scroll through and review, even the people who don't have time for a 30-minute video can get value out of it. Also, for you, if you write down the things that helped you the most, it will help you memorize them and concrete them in your brain better. There is something about putting something in your brain and writing it down on a piece of paper that even if you don't go back and look at that paper, helps cement it in your brain. So have a wonderful night. Please drop anything that you found helpful into the comments so that we can help all of our friends in here as well. And I'll see you back here tomorrow to talk about true freedom through self-control. I know that sounds like the most boring topic ever, but I'm going to blow your freaking minds with how awesome and peaceful and joyful your life can be, even when we're dealing with all this. And all this has been a disaster for a few years. So join me back here tomorrow. I would love to blow your mind. Bye, guys.